Good evening. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. Welcome to the Christmas Eve candlelighting service. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is a historic faith with a progressive theology. We affirm the worth and dignity of every being, and that we are all deeply interconnected. We are bound to one another, not by creed, but by covenant. And we are called to love with open minds, open hearts, and open hands. Whoever you are, those of all nations, all creeds, all colors, all kinds of love, you are welcome here.
Merry Christmas, everyone. My name is Mark David Buckles. I'm the Director of Music of Arlington Street Church. Happy to be here to sing some Christmas songs with you to start off our service with Julie Metcalf on the fiddle and Matt Malachowski on percussion. We're going to start off with one of my favorite carols, Go Tell It on the Mountain. 1, 2, 1, 2. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. While shepherds kept their watching o'er silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. The shepherds feared and trembled when low above the earth rang out the angel chorus that hailed the baby's birth. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Down in a lowly manger, the humble babe was born, and God sent us salvation that blessed Christmas morn. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Go tell it. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. As we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo, Gloria in excelsis shepherds, why this jubilee? Why these songs of happy cheer? What great brightness did you see? What glad tidings did you hear? Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. See him in a manger laid, whom the angels praise above. Mary, Joseph, lend your aid, while we raise our hearts in love. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Good evening, friends. As we begin, let's get ourselves oriented to maximize the magic of this service. If you haven't already downloaded this evening's order of service, the link is in the chat and on the homepage at ascboston.org. The lyrics to all the carols are included in the order of service and will be posted in the chat so we can sing together joyfully. If possible, you'll want to have a candle on hand to light during the candle lighting. If not, the flashlight on your phone will do. Please take a moment now to sign our Christmas Eve guest book. The link is in the chat or on the homepage. We'd love to follow up with a virtual hello, since we can't greet you at the great doors after the service tonight.
Now let us give thanks. Please join me in thanking Elf Hefe, a.k.a. Kevin Terrell, and Barbara, Daryl, Greg, Kevin, Kit, Michael, Phil, Philip, and Sophie, and Robert Holly for our holiday decorations. Thanks to Bruce Dallaire and Tom Anderson, Daryl Waters, John Anderson Miller, and Queen Cheryl for beautification. Thanks too to Bruce and Tom, Queen Cheryl, her lead elf Barbara, and all the elves for their Christmas outreach. 60 years ago tonight, on Christmas Eve in 1961, Reverend George Whitehouse made some very special magic here at Arlington Street. After months of secretly repairing the all but forgotten and long silent bells in the bell tower, he rang them again, sending "O come, all ye faithful," out across the public garden, the Boston Common, and beyond. You can hear him ringing them again tonight. It is glorious. George, we are forever grateful. Merry Christmas. Thanks to the Arlington Street musicians, Director of Music Mark David Buckles, Andrew Stack, Daniel Rosenzweig, Hannah Shanefield, Joe Della Penna, Julie Metcalf, Natalia St. Jean, and Roger Clinton Vine. And welcome and thank you to Music Director Reuben M. Reynolds III and his team, Chad Wyrick, Craig Coogan, Michael Willer, Luana Clark, and the heavenly host of the fabulous Boston Gay Men's Chorus. Thanks to my beloved colleague, Reverend Beth Robbins. Thank you to Reverend Joanna Lubkin and to Jamie Crawford. And finally, please join me in thanking Arlington Street's extraordinary tech team for making this service possible. Thanks to Barb Seidel, Frank Lee, Hala Hazar, Jen Eno, Kem Moorhead, and Sandy Dixon, to cinematographer Rich Abreu, to our all the things AV wizard Matt Malakowski, and to tech team lead, mastermind creative, director, and producer Art Nava. Without the tech team, none of this would be possible. Thank you. Beloved guests, I want to remind you that there are actually services here between Christmas and Easter. We gather in the Arlington Street Zoom room every Sunday morning at 11, the soul of Sunday. The service is live cast with fabulous music, some words to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable, and a very lively chat. When it's safe again, we'll return to our in-person and Zoom hybrid platform, making it possible for those of you who are joining in from a distance or who simply prefer coming to church in your PJs to make your home in this beloved spiritual community. You are always welcome.
An important part of Zooming to services at Arlington Street is saying hello in the chat. Let's do that now, engaging the Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends physical distance as we greet one another heart to heart. Especially in these times, it is good to be together. With grateful, joyful hearts, Kim and I welcome you to this beloved spiritual community. Merry Christmas.
Hi, this is Reuben Reynolds with the Boston Gay Men's Chorus, and we're here to wish you Merry Christmas. Did you know it was back in 1982 that the chorus first rehearsed at the church? And we've been singing Christmas Eve services there ever since. It means so much to so many of the guys in the chorus to come together on Christmas Eve and to sing for you. To rejoice in a community that serves LGBTQ people, straight people, people of all creeds, all nationalities, someplace where everyone is welcome.
Season's greetings to everyone at Arlington Street Church. I have to say it's always such a pleasure to sing at Arlington Street Church for the Christmas Eve service every year. In fact, there's been some years when I have to say that service has been my Christmas. And so I want to say thank you to all of you. Hope you have a nice, safe Christmas, and we'll be back again next year.
The Christmas Eve service brings together my musical and my spiritual families. My favorite parts of the service are the candle lighting ceremony, so full of hope and light in the darkness, and when the chorus sings Everything Possible, so full of acceptance and of love. I've been singing the service with the chorus for so many years, it seems like always. I can't imagine a better Christmas tradition. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Christmas is always a very special holiday for my family. The French-Canadian tradition of the Réveillon, the party on Christmas Eve, the family gets together to celebrate and goes to midnight mass. As I got older, it was wonderful to be able to go with my BGNC family to the Arlington Street Church to celebrate the holiday. The singing we do there is a little bit different from our regular singing, and it's such an intimate setting. It's such a beautiful evening. From Crawford Harvie's amazing sermons year after year, to my favorite part, the lighting of the candles, where the entire church goes dark, and the children go out and light their candles and then bring them to the congregation, and one by one by one, we light each other's candles until the entire church is glowing from the light of just those candles. Thank you so much, Arlington Street, for allowing us the pleasure and the privilege of joining you year after year for this wonderful ceremony.
We're thrilled to have our music be part of the service. So from us to you, since we can't be there in person, we'll say Merry Christmas.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos.
Staring down from his cave with a sour Grinchy frown at the warm light of windows below in their town. For he knew every who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath.
And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming.
Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat, and he clucked and chuckled. What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there were none to be found.
Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
So he called his dog Max and took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on top of his head.
Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh and hitched up old Max.
Then the Grinch said, giddy up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town.
All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house in the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist.
Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch.
He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go.
And he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present, and he stuck them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney.
Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls left nothing but hooks and some wire.
And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse.
Then he did the same thing to the other Whos' houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Whos' mouses.
It was 1:15, all the Whos still abed, all the Whos still a snooze, when he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, their ribbons, their wrappings, their tags, and their tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings.
3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Whos, he was grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming.
They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Whos and Whoville were all crying, boo-hoo.
A noise grinned the Grinch I must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low, then it started to grow.
But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so. But it was merry. Very.
He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook what he saw with a shocking surprise.
Every who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all.
He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same.
And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, said, puzzling and puzzling, how could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without bags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags.
And he puzzled 3 hours slow, till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more.
And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the feast and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast feast.
Merry Christmas!
A mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. You're a foul one, Mr. Grinch. You've termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given a choice between the two of you, I take the seasick crocodile. You're a rotter, Mr. Grinch. You're the king of sinful sots. Your heart's a dead tomato, spotted with moldy purple spots, Mr. Grinch. You're a 3-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich with arsenic sauce. You nauseate me, Mr. Grinch, with a nauseous super nos. You're a crooked, dirty jockey, and you drive a crooked horse, Mr. Grinch. Your soul is an appalling dump heap, overflowing with the most disgraceful assortment of rubbish imaginable, mangled up in tangled up knots. You're a foul one, Mr. Grinch. You're a nasty, wasty skunk. Your heart is full of unwashed socks. Your soul is full of gunk, Mr. Grinch. The 3 words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote, stink, stank, stunk.
And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And all went to be taxed, everyone into their own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son and wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger, because there is no room for them in the inn. And there were, in the same country, shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward all people.
Holy night.
Many years ago tonight, I gathered the children in front of the chancel and asked if they knew whose birthday we were celebrating. One precocious child raised her hand and said in a loud, clear voice, "Santa!" Jesus gets top billing tonight as we incline our hearts to the beloved rabbi who taught, love one another, no exceptions. But piled high on the nativity story are candles, colored lights, carols, poinsettias, presents, wreaths, ornaments, trees, tinsel, stockings, and Santa. Nicholas, born around the year 270 in what is now Turkey, became Bishop of Myra and is known today throughout the world as St. Nicholas, Santa Claus. Raised as a devout Christian, he was orphaned by wealthy parents who died in a pandemic when he was young. Nicholas took seriously Jesus' directive to sell what you possess and give it to the poor. He gave away his entire inheritance, dedicating his life to caring for others, and became known especially for his love of children. If you're longing to really experience Christmas, mystery and miracle, wonder and awe and joy, I invite you to join me in opening your heart and your hands to the spirit of St. Nicholas. Be Santa. Seated on Santa's lap, a child reports that he's been good. He's been very good, he says, and may he please have a yellow bike for Christmas. His mother is worried. Money is tight. Not to mention, yellow? Don't worry, says the boy. He'll bring it. His aunt has already bought a bike for her son, a red bike. A friend of the family watches the impending disaster unfold. It's late afternoon on Christmas Eve. The friend is visiting her mother and tells the story. He won't understand why Santa brought his cousin a new bike and not him, his mother says. We can't let that happen. She retrieves her giant pocketbook and fishes in an envelope from its depths. Take this, she says, handing her daughter a wad of bills. We have to get him that bike. So the friend begins shopping in earnest for a bike, and the stores begin to close, and still she hasn't found one. In desperation, she calls ahead to the last place she can think of that might have a bike. Please, she prays to the spirit of St. Nicholas. A man answers. Do you have any boys' bikes left? She asks. Just one, he says, and then adds apologetically, but it's yellow. Christmas is for miracles. Christmas is for miracles, and I, for one, want in. No problem. Santa needs helpers, lots and lots of helpers. On Christmas morning, a 4-year-old child, completely joyfully enchanted by all things Santa, opens what will be her favorite gift, a giant bubble maker. Dad reads the instruction booklet. It says, Joy dishwashing detergent will create the best billowing bubbles. The next morning, Dad hears stirrings of his small child in the hall outside his room. She is already very much awake, cradling the giant bubble maker in her small arms. Daddy, can we make bubbles now? It's barely dawn. It's too early, he says. I haven't even had my coffee. Her smile disappears. He feels a pang at his heart at tarnishing her Christmas with his selfishness. In a flash of inspiration, he unshoulders the responsibility. We don't have any joy, he explains. You have to have joy to make bubbles. In an instant, the child's eyes light back up as she realizes her power to neutralize this small problem with great and wonderful news. Oh, Daddy, she says, all earnestness and enthusiasm. I do have joy. Outmatched, Dad hustles to the store and back. In no time, they are out on the front lawn creating gigantic, billowing gossamer bubbles. each one shimmering with pure joy. Oh, Christmas, wonder and awe and joy. A couple of days after Christmas, a woman finds a present she had bought for her 8-year-old daughter, but tucked into the back of her closet and forgotten. She wraps it up, slips out into the yard, and throws it onto the roof of the porch. Calling to her daughter, she says, "Do you see what I see on the roof?" The 8-year-old is utterly wide-eyed with amazement. Her father sets up a ladder and spots her while she climbs up to where the present has fallen out of Santa's sleigh, but miraculously missed being trampled by reindeer. She brings it down triumphant and tears away the wrapping to reveal a pink Barbie camera. Be Santa. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. This is the answer given in 1897 to 8-year-old Virginia O'Hanlon by Francis P. Church, an editor of The Sun. Virginia's father had suggested that she write to the prominent New York City newspaper telling her, "If you see it in the Sun, it's so." Francis Church continues, "He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist, and you know that they abound and give to your life its highest beauty and joy. Alas, how dreary would be the world if there were no Santa Claus. Nobody can see Santa Claus, but nobody can conceive or imagine all the wonders there are, unseen and unseeable in the world. Thank God, He lives, and He lives forever. We just need to be Santa." Charles Edward Hall tells this story. "When I was a young man in New York City, I wanted so badly to be a Broadway actor. Every morning, I woke up at 5 o'clock and lined up at the Actors Union near Times Square with 1,000 other people in hopes of landing an audition for 3 or 4 available parts. That was my job every day for 3 years, even at Christmas. And then I was chosen for a part, a great part. I was chosen for one of the greatest parts in the history of Christmas, Ebenezer Scrooge. And it was in a big, wonderful show called the Radio City Christmas Spectacular. I also had to play one scene as Santa Claus, the worst possible part, I thought, because Santa was so good, so boring. But that was okay. I was so happy I ran all the way back to my tiny apartment and yelled to no one in particular, "I made it! I'm Ebenezer Scrooge!" I worked on my Scrooge. I scoffed. I raged. I felt fear when the ghost came, and anger, and relief, and sadness, and regret. Near the end of the show, when Scrooge begs the ghost of Christmas future for another chance, I got down on my knees and cried real tears. When I was growing up, my father was an alcoholic, and my mother cried herself to sleep at night. Until that moment, I had never admitted to myself how hurt and angry and powerlessness that made me feel. We all want that second chance. But nobody cared. Don't get me wrong, critics loved the show and the audience cheered, but no one wanted to come backstage to meet Ebenezer Scrooge. No, they wanted to talk to Santa Claus. Ebenezer Scrooge was just a character. As soon as I walked off the stage, he was gone. But Santa, he was real. It didn't matter if he was in the play for only a few minutes. People knew Santa and they loved him. I'm not just talking about children. People would gasp when they saw me in my costume. Strangers would smile. One time, a news reporter was moved to tears when I walked into the studio. I can't believe I'm talking to Santa Claus. Another time, a friend asked if her son-in-law could meet me. He'd been wounded in Iraq. He had a terrible scar on the side of his head. His wife had to hold him steady as he struggled through the door. But when he saw me, he took 3 huge steps and without a word, hugged me so tight for so long. That time, I was the one who cried. I thought, he knows I'm not the real Santa, right? And then it began to dawn on me that maybe in those moments, I really was Santa. I know. It sounds nuts, right? But it's true. Scrooge was written out of the Christmas Spectacular after only 4 years, but I've been Santa Claus for almost 3 decades and more than 4,000 performances, and spending that much time as someone changes you. When you love a person, you can become that person and see the world they see it. It happened one cold winter day when I was out on the street in my normal clothes, just Charlie Hall, and saw an older woman slip and fall on some ice. Before I knew it, I'd helped her up and offered to take her wherever she wanted to go. It also happened to me during a show when the stage curtain malfunctioned and I had to improvise for an audience of 6,000 people. Suddenly, I found myself sitting with one little girl, talking about her life, and asking her not just what was on her list, but what she truly wanted for Christmas. As I was taking off my beard one night, I said to my stage manager, I wish I could wear this Santa suit all the time. If I did, I'd be a better person every day. It was only a passing thought, but it stuck with me. Santa Claus is the best part of me. He's not just the role I play, he's my role model. Scrooge may have unlocked the pain of my childhood, but Santa opened my heart to a childlike wonder. He showed me goodness and joy. There's magic all around us. All we have to do is believe. 35 years ago, I wanted to be Scrooge because Scrooge was interesting. Ebenezer Scrooge, I thought, would make me a better actor. Instead, Santa Claus made me a better person. Beloved spiritual companions, just this. Be Santa. Channel the spirit of St. Nicholas and get the yellow bike. Blow bubbles made of pure joy. Toss a pink Barbie camera onto the roof. Make magic. May we open our hearts to the spirit of Christmas, to mystery and miracle, wonder and awe and joy. I'll close with a blessing written to a friend on Christmas Eve, 1513, by Italian Franciscan friar and architect, Fra Giovanni. I salute you. I am your friend, and my love for you goes deep. There is nothing I can give you which you have not, but there is much, very much, that while I cannot give it, you can take. No heaven can come to us unless our hearts find rest in today. Take heaven. No peace lies in the future which is not hidden in this present little instant. Take peace. The gloom of the world is but a shadow. Behind it, yet within our reach, is joy. Take joy. There is radiance and glory in the darkness, could we but see. And to see, we have only to look. I beseech you to look. Merry Christmas. Amen.
When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes kings and princes are home. When the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins.
In March of 2020, Cam and I were in Tucson when the country shut down. On the interminable flight home to Boston, I was besieged by feelings of helplessness at the prospect of being apart from all of you in this frightening time when we would so clearly need one another. Cam, a former software engineer, was reassuring about the ways technology could keep us together. It sounded like science fiction to me, every bit of it. Remember when Zoom was a mere verb? The plane was strangely empty. An adorable flight attendant took the seat next to us, chatting us up and doing his best to distract me. It was his idea that I could ask each of you to send me your photo and put it up in the pews. Somehow, the thought of preaching to an empty sanctuary was made more bearable by this wild idea. I asked, you sent, Reverend Beth printed out a mountain of photos, we taped them to the backs of pews, and suddenly, there you were. While the camera rolled and the Zoom room came alive, preaching to images of your beautiful faces. I was preaching to you. This was my first experience of the suspension of disbelief that has happened throughout this long pandemic, and more importantly, of the fact that we could indeed stay deeply connected while consigned to our homes and cities and towns across the United States and around the world. It never occurred to me that the pandemic would last this long, that we would continue to gather virtually while COVID surged and mutated and took the lives of so many we cherish. But the bigger surprise is that we could create this kind of intimacy as we worship and gather throughout the week for meditation and anti-racism, poetry and tea, laughter, and ending the climate crisis. Against all odds, we are closer than ever. In a leap of faith, we've continued our discipline of sharing the collection plate with a partner in our mission of love, service, justice, and peace. Tonight, we invite you to join us in raising money to support 7 Afghan families, a total of 13 adults and 20 children, who, having worked with Americans, were in grave danger from the Taliban and so were flown to Pakistan, where we have the opportunity to help them begin again. If you're interested in getting involved with this project, please let me know. 10% of our gifts tonight will be given directly to them for food and basic needs as they await visas to the United States, where host families are ready to receive them. Reverend Beth and I are seeding the virtual collection plate with $500 apiece, and we are so glad and so grateful to be able to do it. And tonight, once again, our own Tammy Arcuri and her 7-year-old daughter Zoe have stepped up to match the Christmas Eve collection. Thank you, dear ones. To make a truly meaningful Christmas gift, please text the word GIVE to 617-300-0509. Scan the QR code on the screen or in the order of service. Visit our homepage at ascboston.org and click on the yellow Donate Now button, or write a check and send it to Arlington Street Church. If you have questions or need help, you can reach out to our treasurer, Liz Texera. She is available right now in the chat at asctreasurer or on email at treasurer@ascboston.org. Thank you, Liz. I invite you to please join now in giving generously to support this place, which has helped and held us during these long months, and to our great mission to be a force of good. On our website, I will continue to update you on our Afghan families and send them your gifts with your love. May your generosity be a blessing to you and to all whose lives your life touches. Thank you. Merry Christmas. It's time for our candle lighting, a tradition in New England Unitarian Universalist churches since the turn of the last century. Though surely our ancestors couldn't have imagined zooming together in one vast room from all over the world and lighting our candles together while apart. I'm going to encourage us to create a shared ambiance in our Hollywood squares. In a few minutes, if you have the ability to dim the lights, darken the room where you're sitting and light a candle. I'm going to invite you to do that now. You'll hear your cue. The passing of the light will be symbolic, but I pray you'll feel the light coming to you from those around you and share it with one another. When this beautiful ceremony concludes and Reverend Beth, Reverend Joanna, and I blow out our candles, please let's all extinguish the flames together and bring up our house lights. Here is some Unitarian Universalist theology. Whenever you light a candle, it's all the same light. The spark of divinity in each and every one of us is all the same light. The candle lighting begins with the light of ages, symbolized by our flaming chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. This light represents the first light, the light of God, which burns in each of us. The chalice is also the repository of our prayers for our beloved community of memory and hope. The memory of those who have gone before us and those who cannot be with us tonight, and hope for those of us who will come in the future. From the chalice, the light is passed to the Advent wreath. Over the past 4 weeks, we have kindled the wreath in anticipation of Christmas. 1 candle each for hope, peace, joy, and love. Tonight, as Reverend Joanna lights all the candles on our Advent wreath, as well as a 5th candle honoring the birth of the baby Jesus, we affirm our belief that every night a child is born is a holy night. From the Advent wreath, Reverend Beth will pass the light to candles representing the baby Jesus, traditionally lit by the youngest children in the congregation. The understanding of Jesus as a human being who gave an example of the divine fullness of our human potential is at the heart of our Unitarian Universalist heritage. If there's a child in your home, please darken your Hollywood square and light your candles. Tonight, it is with great joy that we welcome our pandemic babies, Luis, Pippa, and Vivi, to light the Jesus candles. Let the light of these candles be for all children everywhere, our hope for the future. From the Jesus candles, the light is passed to candles representing the disciples, all those who have passed on to succeeding generations the great gospel which Jesus taught. Love one another. Let the light of this candelabrum be for all our elected leadership, represented by members of the Arlington Street Church Prudential Committee and all the Arlington Street committees, teams, and initiatives. In these pandemic times, we give thanks to the unstinting devotion of the tech team, which has brought us together closer than ever. We've continued to welcome new members and friends as we've opened our virtual doors to the whole country and to the world. Will you please darken your Hollywood squares and light your candles? Thank you for your leadership and your service. Finally, from the disciples' candles, the light is passed to candles representing the beloved community of memory and hope. Welcome to each and every one of you here tonight. let's all darken our Hollywood squares and light our candles. When the entire Zoom room is filled with light, at the close of silent night, we will raise our candles together, hopefully, joyfully, carefully, and enjoy a moment of stillness and silence. Peace. To close, we will burst into joy to the world. May these candles symbolize our commitment to kindle a light of love and service, justice and peace in our country and in the world. And let's join now in singing together, Silent Night.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, shepherds quake at the sight, glory stream from heavens afar, heavenly hosts sing Alleluia. Christ the Savior is born. Christ the Savior is born. Silent night, holy night, Son of God, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord, at thy birth, Jesus, Lord, at thy birth.
Before our benediction, I invite you to reach out your hands and touch the sides of your square. Touch hands with the people to your left and to your right, and send out love to the person on either side of you and to the people on either side of them. Send out love into this beloved spiritual community and feel it coming back to you. Love is the spirit of this congregation. Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman wrote, "When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings have gone home and the shepherds are back with their flocks, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to feed the hungry, to heal the broken, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to make peace among all people. Let us keep this faith, beloveds, and pass it on. The service begins when the service ends. Bless your hearts. Merry Christmas. I love you. Amen."
This is the Boston Gay Men's Chorus. We thought in these trying times to provide comfort, we would send out a performance of Everything Possible done by a virtual choir. All individual members of the chorus are all over New England recording on their own. Enjoy, be safe, be happy.
We clear off the table, leftover steak, wash the dishes and put them away. I told you a story, tucked you in time.
Over the midnight sea. Thanks, Chad. Bye, everyone. Stay safe. Bye, everyone.
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.